Katy Talento is Trump's Domestic Policy Council employee, or PIC, to work specifically on healthcare policy. Now, why is she in the news? Why is she relevant? Well, as you can imagine, anyone that Donald Trump chooses has a lot of questionable things in their background, and Katy Talento is no exception. Now, apparently she has had some very strong words about birth control, which is problematic if she's going to work on healthcare policy. So according to what this health policy advisor had once written, she says that preventing a fertilized egg in regard to birth control, i.e. conception, from hunkering down in the walls of the uterus where it can grow normally. Progestin is in birth control thins the endometrial lining, or the uterine wall, but a fertilized egg needs a thick, fluffy, blood-rich uterine wall to attach to and begin growth. Without it, the embryo can't survive and a miscarriage occurs. So why am I mentioning this excerpt from something she had written in the past? Well, she thinks that birth control essentially leads to abortions, that women take birth control and that aborts their fetuses, which is not the case. Okay.
It's just not true. It's not scientific. That's not what happens. So the Republicans don't care about science. So if a Democrat puts somebody up like this that was this wrong on any elementary matter of science or facts or logic, forget logic.
Yeah.
You could disagree on logic. You can't disagree on facts. And they put her on the Domestic Policy Council. Forget the Republicans. The media would shred them. They'd be like, oh my God, Obama's put this clown in who thinks that vaccines, for example, cause autism. You know what the media would do to Obama if you put somebody like that in charge? Okay. Now we have the opposite here, where she just makes up stuff about birth control and how it leads to miscarriages, which are in essence abortion, etc. It's not remotely true. And I was like, okay, yeah, all right, good. We're done with facts and science. It's the Trump years. So here we go.
Facts and science don't matter in the Trump administration. We already know that. But the ramifications of this kind of thinking will be devastating. I mean, I go back to Bush's administration and how they went after comprehensive sex ed, for instance, right? And what happened? Teen pregnancy shot up. It went through the roof. And it wasn't until Obama got elected and he started focusing on comprehensive sex ed that less teenagers got pregnant, okay? Right now, we spend so much money on unwanted pregnancies. People get mad at me for saying unwanted pregnancies, but that's what they are. People getting pregnant, not wanting to get pregnant, not having the resources to take care of that child, and then having to rely on government programs in order to put food on the table for their kids, right? That's part of it. Okay, so think about what happens under a Republican administration where they want to do away with things like birth control, which, by the way, vast majority of people take birth control, okay? They do away with that. People get pregnant because people have sex, regardless of how much you think you can tell them to abstain and you think they're going to listen. They're not. And then you defund any type of organization that you disagree with because 3% of what they do is abortions. Planned Parenthood. Okay, so people are forced to have babies, and then what do? You defund all of the programs that help them raise those kids. I mean, childhood poverty under their wet dream here is going to be insane, and I really worry about that. Okay,
you know what else is going to go up? Abortions, because if you dissuade people from using birth control, they're going to get pregnant, and whether they originally claim to have pro-life morals or principles, when you get pregnant, a lot of times those principles go out the window. You know, how many stories have we covered about women who protest at abortion clinics, then go inside and have an abortion, and then come out and then the reporters like, wait a minute, you just got an abortion. And she'll say things like, yeah, but I'm not a slut. I was in a bad situation in my life, so of course I had to do an abortion. Right? So...
But that's the amazing thing, right? So we have people who are living in poverty voting for the party who will only exacerbate their economic woes. And then you have women voting for a politician who has shown utter disdain for them. And then if you as a Democrat or you as a progressive had the audacity to call them out on that stupidity, you're the bad guy. No, that's a stupid vote. That's a stupid vote because they don't value you as human beings. They don't think that you should have control over your body. In fact, They think that men should have control over your body, with our current president caught on tape talking about grabbing women by their genitals without their consent. That's okay. That's okay. But, I mean, look, there's a second part of this real quick that I want to mention, because that wasn't the only thing that she said. She also had written in the past that if you take birth control, it will make you infertile, which is not true. It is not true. If that were true, then no one in this country would be able to have babies. Let's keep it 100, okay? Here's what she wrote. Let's say your life stage changes and you're ready to try to have a baby. You go off the pill or the intrauterine device or whatever you're taking. It takes a few months for the effects of the birth control to wear off, and then you're good to go, right? Wrong. No, not wrong. A lot of people take the pill, get off the pill, and then get pregnant. A lot. So that's what we're working with here.
Okay, so if you're a Republican and you say, no, I am not with the bigoted talk and the racist talk and the sexist talk, and I'm not with any of that, and I'm not with the corruption, yeah, this is what you voted for, though. So you voted for the party that's going to put people into charge who don't believe in birth control and who make up lies about it. Okay, that's your party, and so enjoy it. And I didn't make you vote for that party. You voted for that party. And so are they going to be able to get rid of birth control for the whole country? No, because 99% of people use birth control, and they'd be up in arms. And by the way, if you're in that group and you think, oh, man, it would, then Anna's wrong, congratulations, you voted for the right guy. If you want to get rid of birth control, he's putting people like this into place, so you voted accurately, okay?
Yeah.
For the rest of us, 99% of us who use birth control, well, we don't want somebody who is lying about it and who's going to try to get rid of it. Now you say, but they're not going to be able to get rid of the whole thing. Yes, but what you don't see is they pass subtle laws throughout the country that makes getting birth control harder. So, for example, when they kill Planned Parenthood, well, and so many people have less access to birth control. Then you've got more teen pregnancy, you've got more unwanted pregnancy, you've got more abortions, you've got more poverty. And then you go, oh, golly gee, how did that happen? Well, that happened because you put these people in charge. So own it. Don't pretend, don't get to say, hey, I'm for birth control, but I like to put Republicans in charge that get rid of birth control.
Right.
Then you're not for birth control. You're for these guys who make up stuff and go in the wrong policy direction and lead to all those consequences. Own it. You did that.
Yeah, and it goes further than that, Cenk, because there are other laws that were passed during Obama's administration that made birth control easily attainable for people regardless of their socioeconomic status. Now, birth control, the pill specifically, is very, very, very expensive if you don't have insurance, if you don't have access to the generic version. So it could cost hundreds of dollars in some cases. So what the Obama administration did through the Affordable Care Act is they made it free. Health insurance companies pay for birth control. And they didn't do it so people can just willy-nilly go out and have sex with whoever they want. That wasn't the intention. They realized it was a public health issue, and also it helped the country, federal taxpayers or federal tax money get saved because we don't have to spend the money on unwanted pregnancy. So that was one thing that they did. Another thing that they did is Plan B was now available on counters. So you didn't have to go to a doctor, get a prescription, and then go to the pharmacy and then have to deal with the pharmacist. It made it more affordable and easily accessible, which is important because Plan B doesn't work unless you take it within a very short period of time after having unprotected sex or if the contraception failed. So these are all the things that will be rolled back under Trump's administration if we're dealing with people like this woman.
And honestly, a lot of rich people won't have to deal with any of that. It won't be an issue for them. And then when you ask them about it, they'll say, what? That never affected me. No, the birth control is just like it used to be. Well, that's because you're not seeing how it's not like how it used to be for poor people in the middle class. And so you got to live with that. And that is the reality. And if you're comfortable with that and saying, oh, yeah, there's going to be a lot more abortions in the country. Great. More poverty in the country. Great. More of your choice interfered with by the big government. Great. Okay, then that's what you're in favor of, and just understand what you're actually voting for. Get the full 2-hour show ad-free. Become a member, tytnetwork.com/join.